Virgo, welcome to your weekly horoscope for April 27th to May 3rd, 2026. My name's Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Virgo, this week is asking you to expand, but not in a way that feels comfortable at first. This is about stepping beyond your current perspective, your routines, and even your identity as you've known it. Because what's unfolding now is a shift in your direction, your visibility, and your belief in what's actually possible for your life. On April 28th, we have Venus in Gemini forming a trine to Pluto in Aquarius. This is activating your 10th house of career, public image, and life direction, and your 6th house of work, routine, and daily responsibilities. This is powerful alignment between what you do every day and where you're going. This is you making strategic moves in your career, having conversations that open doors, and aligning your daily efforts with your long term vision. You may feel more empowered in your work, more intentional in how you show up, and more aware of your impact. This is where your discipline meets transformation. However, you do have to watch for overworking, trying to control outcomes, or feeling like you have to prove yourself through productivity alone. You don't need to force recognition. You need to align your actions with your purpose and let that speak for itself. Then we get to April 29th, and we have Venus and Gemini forming a T-square to the lunar nodes. The south node is in your first house of identity and self, and the north node is in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and one on one connections. This is a karmic crossroads in how you show up in your connections. This is tension between your independence and your ability to truly collaborate. This is you recognizing where you may be over relying on yourself, over controlling your environment, or avoiding vulnerability in relationships. You may realize that your identity has been built around self sufficiency, but that is now limiting your growth. And the North Node is asking you to open, to trust others, to allow support, to build meaningful partnerships that reflect your evolution. You do have to be careful of isolation at this time, resistance to compromise, or holding on to control out of fear of being let down. You need to ask yourself, am I protecting my independence or blocking my connection? Because growth requires both. Then we get to May 1st, and this is the emotional peak of the week because we have the full moon in Scorpio activating your third house of communication, mindset, and perception. This is a mental and emotional culmination. This is you seeing the truth of a situation, a conversation, or even own thought patterns. You may have a realization that shifts how you think, how you communicate, and how you interpret your reality. This is insight of some kind, but you do have to be careful of overthinking or mental overwhelm, or even getting caught in emotional reactions to what you're thinking or hearing. You may feel like your mind is racing. This is the time to observe. Not every thought is truth. Now, on the same day, we have Venus in your 10th house forming a sextile to Saturn in your 8th house of intimacy, shared resources, and transformation. This is grounding your external world with your emotional depth. This is maturity in your career and your connections. This is you making decisions that reflect both your ambition and your emotional truth. You may feel more stable in your direction, more clear about what you're building, and more intentional in how you engage with others. This is alignment between power and purpose. You do have to watch for fear of vulnerability in professional or personal situations, holding back emotionally to maintain control. You don't need to sacrifice depth for success. You need to integrate both. And then we get to May 2nd, and we have Mercury, your ruling planet, entering Taurus. This is activating your ninth house of expansion, higher learning, and your belief systems. This is a shift in perspective. After a week of mental intensity and emotional clarity, this is where you begin to think bigger. This is grounded expansion. This is you making practical plans for your future, exploring new ideas, and aligning your mindset with a broader vision. This is where you grow, but you do have to be careful of resisting change, holding on to old beliefs because they feel safe. You need to stay open because your next level requires a new perspective. So, Virgo, this week is about alignment between your daily life, your relationships, and your long term vision. You are being asked to step beyond your comfort zone, to open yourself to connection, and to trust a bigger path for your life. And that requires courage because growth doesn't always feel safe, but it is necessary. Virgo, this week isn't just about change, it's about expansion into who you are becoming.